Hi, everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the Car Reviews podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Perhaps I've misspoken. Not a car today, not a truck, but a Jeep. We have today a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8. So, Jeep Grand Cherokee, kind of the run-of-the-mill, still a premium vehicle. However, this SRT8, well known as the performance option of the 2014 Grand Cherokee line. So an SRT8, that comes with the same 6.4 liter Hemi engine V8 that goes into the period SRT Challenger and period SRT Charger. 6.4 liter V8 with the Hemi, and it was factory rated at 470 horsepower. So a long way from the Honda CR-Vs and Toyota RAV4s of the world. So we'll get underway. I'll start up the Jeep and we'll have a listen to the engine and the exhaust, and then we'll take our normal little tour of the exterior and the interior of the car. So without further ado, here comes an engine start. Push button start here with the SRT. So in fact, the key is in my pocket. I'm going to leave it here in the center console. But started right up, no trouble at all. And even at idle, you can hear the hum of that engine. Make sure that you do take a look at our detailed listing where we'll have driving videos. And not only will you hear the car's suspensions, quiet suspension and quiet braking system, but you'll get to hear the exhaust, the dual exhaust. It's an aftermarket number, actually, that comes along with this SRT8 Jeep Grand Cherokee, a 14 with under 205,000 kilometers. I did mention the aftermarket exhaust, which is good for the growl that the idle is just hinting at, but the owner still has the original exhaust components. So they come with the Jeep in case anyone would prefer, in case the new owner prefers to reinstall those. So I'll hop out of the car now, grab the camera, and we'll start our tour. Okay, with camera in hand, I'll close in on the 6.4 liter Hemi. Again, it's a V8. One thing I didn't mention yet is that the lot number for this 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8 is 238. So CollectorCarCanada.CA, you'll see it as lot 238. So I'll just, the belts are really accessible in this Hemi engine. I'll get the microphone in there nice and close so you can hear the belts spinning. And I think you're getting a good listen to the engine at idle. I'll get the microphone down a little lower to concentrate on the idle here. So I like that beauty cover, just setting straight that we're dealing with the 6.4 liter Hemi. Again, 470 horsepower factory rating. This Hemi has been treated to a rebuild. So this engine was rebuilt in 2018. And that's when the current owner picked it up. He picked it up and had the rebuild done himself. Full disclosure, by the prior owner, he knew what he was getting into. So you'll see the work order for that engine rebuild on the detailed listing. So as I say, that occurred in 2018. The Jeep has about just under 205,000 kilometers on it now, and we'll get the precise odometer reading for when the engine rebuild occurred into the detailed listing, but about half the mileage ago, give or take. One other thing the owner wanted us to mention, it's kind of standard fare for these big high performance Hemis, is that this engine requires about a liter of oil in between oil changes. I mentioned already that there's an aftermarket exhaust. Here's an aftermarket intake as well, and we have some information about that intake on the detailed listing. So I'll wander back to the rear of the Jeep, and we'll get a sound. We'll get the sound of those the dual exhaust singing its note. So that's what the engine and exhaust sound like at idle. I'll wander around back to the front. I suppose I can kill the engine now. As you see, it's a push button start. So that's how it turns off, and you can see that steering wheel and seat get out of the way for driver ingress and egress when the engine is cut. I guess egress for when the engine is cut, and it stays the way you see it till the engine starts up, and then the memory seats fall into place. Regular viewers of these podcasts or car review videos know that I like to point out the biggest flaws I see with the car. Being that I've just closed the hood, it's the right time to show you what I have found as the biggest flaw with this Jeep. So there's some corrosion, some bubbling caused by corrosion up here on the front edge of the hood. So I'll show it with my Toonie, and you get a sense of the size we're talking about. There are 5 spots by my count. So this is a third. And I don't want to minimize it. The corrosion caused bubbling is there. But what I will say is that being that it's on the edge of the hood, it might lend itself to wet sand and touch up rather than repainting the whole hood. Talk to an expert though before you decide to go that route. The expert is not me. As I think of it, maybe I shut that hood a little too quickly. I'll show you the other side of the hood where that bubbling occurs. So I don't see any evidence of it on the underside of the hood. Now it's hard to see where it is. So here's some of it on the outside edge. Then as I roll around the camera, I don't see it on the inside edge. Outside edge, inside edge. Outside edge, and inside edge. Last one, outside edge, and inside edge. So as I say, don't take my word for it. Talk to a pro in terms of what needs doing to repair that. Maybe the next owner will keep the car really clean and not let it advance. Up to the new owner, of course. So a bit of a snarl here on the front end of the SRT8 2014 Grand Cherokee. A lot of black treatment and a little more streamlined a profile from the conventional Grand Cherokees. Definitely the monochromatic black is striking, but you'll also see that there's no roof rack attached. So it gives it a bit of a more streamlined look in terms of its profile. A roof rack can be attached. A couple of things I notice here. Here's the fog light on the passenger side, and as well, front impact sensors. I've driven the car around the parking lot, and when I get up close to parking by another car, I do hear those sensors warning me that I might be getting too close. So yeah, it's a black on black number. One other item to mention, the wheels. So this is an aftermarket set of 20-inch wheels and tires. I noticed 295/45 for the size of the tires. Square setup, same size at all 4 corners. And the main reason I noticed them is because the owner showed us the OEM set. The OEM set comes with the car, and they are wrapped, those wheels are wrapped in a set of Continental winter tires. So a Continental winter tire set with the OEM rims comes included with the Jeep. Now take a look at our detailed listing for those. We've got photos of the individual wheels themselves. There is some curb marking on those OEM wheels that are used for the winter. And in terms of these wheels, they're pretty good. They're not perfect. I do notice one mark up here on the driver's front. Another thing I noticed when I'm checking out this wheel, well, I knew it was there already, but Brembo calipers at all four corners and cross-drilled vented rotors. A big, good-sized rotor there too. Majoris R1 tires by Antares, and you can see that 4x4 logo for these SUV-specific tires. We've got information on the detailed listing about date of install and mileage since. Big side mirrors on the SRT8 Jeep, and you can see the indicators also light up here on the mirror. And a lot of modernity on this 2014. There are sensors in these mirrors when someone's driving in a blind spot, and there are also lane change sensors to a point where if the car's computer determines might not be safe or it might be pushing it to change lanes, you get a beep when you turn on that indicator. So working away, we see that profile with the streamlined shape without the roof rack. As I say, your typical Grand Cherokee, you're going to have a big roof rack on top, and I guess it looks more utilitarian, I'd say. Here's a good look at the driver's rear wheel and tire. Same tire. The Brembo red calipers are in place. They're a little smaller on the rear. Same with the size of the rotor. But Brembo caliper on the rear as well as the front. Vented cross-drilled rotor as well. Same size though on the tire. 295/45 ZR20. They're W rated, and the wheels are 10 inches wide. I just noticed a Mopar logo on the glass as I zoomed away from the Jeep, and I'll mention that on the detailed listing we've got photos of each pane of glass, including the sunroof, with the Mopar logo, so all OEM glass. So working our way to the rear, this is the only place I see Jeep on this SRT8 version of the Grand Cherokee. I'm used to seeing it on the grille of a conventional Grand Cherokee. And here's the SRT logo down here towards the bottom right of the lift gate. And we've got an SRT emblem down below here as well. Just fiddling through my pocket to see if I have the key on me. I'm going to get the key from the cabin here. There's something out back I want to show you. There it is. SRT embroidered seats. So I have the multifunction key with me now, and as you might have guessed, what I want to show you is the remote operation of the liftgate. So that can be done with the key, or it can be done by a button in here. So I'll give you the tour of the cargo area now. We'll save the rest of the interior when we're done the exterior. But one thing I'll point out is there's a set of not only WeatherTech at the floors of the four corners of the car at footwells, but there's also a WeatherTech rubber mat. As you can see, form-fitting for the entire rear compartment. There's also a cargo cover here. Tested that out already. Recoils and comes back out beautifully still. And down below, we do have a spare tire kit. It might take a little doing for me to do some releasing. But there we go. There's the spare. And just some odds and ends. Another item there is the subwoofer to go along with the Uconnect Chrysler sort of state-of-the-art head unit. There's an outlet for 12 volts that can be accessed if the liftgate is open. But yeah, all in all, a pretty utilitarian setup back here. There are photos of them down in the detailed listing, but just to note that those that rear seat is a 60-40 split, and it does come down in case there's a situation where the driver needs the cargo space over the passenger space. So I'll demonstrate that this is functional with the button as well. And down comes the liftgate of the 2014 SRT8 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Dual exhaust, as I mentioned, it's an aftermarket exhaust. There is information about it on our detailed listing. I'm 90% sure I recall the brand name, but I'll defer to the listing. So please take a look at that for lot 238 to get the information on that. You also see some reverse sensors on the bumper here, and as well there's a reverse camera up here, and I've seen that in action just having reversed the car around the parking lot. So here's the other pipe for this aftermarket exhaust. Details about it on our listing, lot 238. So a rear 1/4 view of the 2014 Grand Cherokee SRT8. We'll zoom in on the passenger side rear wheel. Matching Antares Majoris R1 with the cross-drilled vented disc and Brembo caliper. I'll get up close so we can read the emblem on that caliper by Brembo. And no evidence of corrosion other than those bubbles on the hood. We do have some photos of the underside on the detailed listing as well. Matching large-sized side mirror over here on the passenger side with the indicator light integration and the mirror itself. And we've got the front passenger side wheel. Don't see any markings on it, so the only mark I saw was the small one on the driver's front. Brembo caliper, larger than the rear, and a larger rotor than the rear as well, which is also cross-drilled and vented. 295/45 ZR20 on the tires with a W speed rating. Right now I've got the sunroof open. There's a video on the detailed listing showing not just the sunroof in operation, the power sunroof, but also the power sunshade. So that will protect occupants from bright glare, but it also lets the sun in if that's what the occupants of the car determine is best for them. Oh, one item I didn't show on this hood is there's some ventilation on the front of it. And that's another tell that we're dealing with the SRT8 Grand Cherokee as opposed to the conventional unit. You can check that out to cross-reference against our detailed listing. While I'm thinking of it, there's the Mopar emblem on the front glass. As I say, we've got photos of it on all of the glass. So the front, the rear, 3 on each side, as well as the sunroof. So the owners just had the car detailed. It's been a couple of days, so the car's gotten a little dusty on the outside. It looks pretty good still, but the inside is nice and clean for the new owner to enjoy. There's even, I mentioned the WeatherTech mats on the floor for each of the 4 corners. This has been in place since, so there's a little bit of marking on the driver's WeatherTech, but quite clean. And I'm amazed actually that is just still so clear for a 2014 with 205,000 kilometers. But I'll peel off this WeatherTech for the driver, and you can see the carpet underneath is quite clean. My general hypothesis is that it's always dirtiest for the driver. But you can see that these WeatherTech mats are made to order for this Jeep Grand Cherokee. In fact, I had a hard time getting that one off with just my one hand. These WeatherTech mats really seem to be the better mousetrap. Power seat over here for the driver. We've got our windows, we've got our mirrors, we've got our locks. There's the seat memory button, so 2 presets. A tweeter up here, a tweeter down here, a bigger speaker. So I'd say the weakest part or the worst part of the interior is this area right here. This little panel's got some wear on it. Maybe the prior owner had something stuck on there. I'm not really sure. But the nice thing about its location is only the driver see it, so it can be the driver's little secret. There's also an aftermarket piece up here on the dash, on the leather of the dash, and I'm not sure what it was for, but it might make a little mess to take it off, so the current owner has decided to leave it on. And this leather has separated a little bit from so the leather dash cover separated a bit from the dash itself. Common thing with a leather dash. I guess that's the other side of it. All of the seats, the front seats do have the SRT logo embroidered into it. So we've got a leather surround on the suede inserts for the 4 corner seats. The middle seat in the rear is entirely leather. So we've got, now that piece of paper, I would normally take that out of a car before I did one of these tours, but those are the work orders you see on the detailed listing if you take a look at lot 238. So that's a paper copy, and those will just sit in the car when it gets to its new owner. Maybe I should show the car on startup and what the little light show, I guess I'll call it, that comes on the dash, both the dash and the Uconnect head unit. So starting it up, we got that SRT emblem here. So a real modern piece, a lot more modern than a lot of the cars we have on the website. So I'll give you a look at those, and as I step through one of the multi-function buttons on the steering wheel, you can see 203,851. So this car, we won't say under 204,000, but we will say the car is going to its new owner with under 205,000 kilometers, pretty close to 204 already. But stepping through on that display, you can get a sense of some of the functions. So pretty high-tech setup here in the SRT8 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. There is an oil change sticker up here on the glass. I'll show that in a minute. And I think we've done the loop. Here's the oil change sticker. So the car's almost due for an oil change. It's closing in on that. So there's an 8-speed automatic transmission. You can see how it's controlled there, electronically controlled. And you can see paddles on the steering wheel. So on this setup with the Jeep setup is upshift on the right, downshift on the left. Nice SRT emblem in front of the airbag of the steering wheel. Cruise control buttons over here. We got a traction control. And over here, the arrows deal with that. That's what I was using to step through the various modes in the dash, in the instrumentation. And here are your phone controls down here. Of course, equipped with Bluetooth. And there are some lights and a fuel door down below. Same thing here with the light touch screen. Now there are some tangible buttons here for volume, fan, temperature, but a lot of the functionality of the Uconnect system and HVAC are through this touch screen. So it's set to the radio now, and that's for multimedia. You can Bluetooth for your phone, be it for music or for telephone use. Here's our heated seats, and there's a heated steering wheel. I say heated seats, but there's also a ventilated seat up front here on the front power buckets. There's our conventional HVAC controls, nav system, as you might guess. Settings are there, and there's a phone control, and some more apps that looks like the current owner hasn't elected to use those just yet. Another item, very important on a Jeep 4-wheel drive, is on the left you can see there's launch control, an indication of the extreme power of this car at 470 horsepower, and also controls in terms of where you're driving and how you want the engine and transmission to react. So that's a pretty good look at it. I don't think we need the engine running anymore, so I'll cut that. I'll walk around to the passenger side first. And then we've taken a look at the hatch. We'll take a look at the rear seat, because we haven't done that yet. So passenger's front side first. You can see just as much power on the passenger side as the driver's in terms of the seat. There's a good look at the front bucket with those generous bolsters. SRT emblem embroidered. And the WeatherTech mats. Mats kind of sells them short. I almost call it a protection system, but nice and clean underneath as well. And you can see how the mat is fitted to the floor with the built-in peg. But same functions over here on the passenger seat. Not as many, just controlling the passenger's compartment, but a tweeter there. And the bigger speaker and the tweeter here. There's a chrome look. I imagine it's plastic, but it's a chrome look door sill with the Jeep logo, the familiar Jeep logo. But nice and clean inside the doors. Nice and clean also at the bases of the doors. Into the rear seat, we'll take a look. I think I mentioned the 60/40 split folding rear seat. I won't fold them down, but there are photos of same on the detailed listing. So I won't display the seat unfolding, but there's the armrest with a couple of cup holders if the middle seat compartment or middle seat isn't needed for an occupant. But also some controls back here for the rear seat passenger. They can control direction of the blower, as well a couple of USB chargers. I didn't show you those up front, but heated seats even for the two outbound passengers here in the rear, and an outlet, 110 outlet, not a 12 volt. The center console, there are some charging areas. I know we have photos of them on the detailed listing. I know there are there's some personal items in there, but I can grab them pretty quickly. There's a good look at charging for up front, as well as an auxiliary input and a 12 volt input. So I think that's a pretty good tour of the car. I'll do one last lap around it to give you another shot of the exterior, and then we'll move to some closing thoughts. More beautiful weather here. Hard to believe I'm shooting a video in November in short sleeves, but this, of course, is a year-round vehicle, and the fact that the winter set on the OEM 20s on Continental tires, no less, is really a nice bonus with this Jeep. So moving to some closing thoughts. So there's a good look at our 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8. So SRT8 is really important to distinguish it from the other Grand Cherokees in case you're doing a bit of research. This one comes with a 6.4 liter Hemi V8, factory rated at 470 horsepower. There's an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters. The engine, 470 horsepower is the factory rating, in case I missed it. I think I didn't. But four-wheel drive. It's got the wheels and tires you see on it right now, so an aftermarket set for the summer, and the OEM 20s are mounted with a set of Continental winter tires. Photos of those on our detailed listing. So yeah, 200 just under 205,000 kilometers on this 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8 after an engine rebuild in 2018. So again, lot 238 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Please check out our 2014 Grand Cherokee SRT8. Thank you for watching, and on to the next car.